All right, guys, I am back with Sean Cannell, Mr. YouTube himself, one of my mentors, actually, a guy that we worked with and got so much value out of. He is my go-to source. My go-to source. I could not bring you a better source when it comes to YouTube. Sean, how the hell are you, man?
Chris, I'm doing amazing and super pumped to be on the show and just to be hanging out with you and your
Right.
community.
Dude, I dig. And I say this, there's few people, I told you this, few people that come on my show and they just show me out with their backdrop and their whole setup. And you're crushing me. And I also want to know this too. This is a legitimate question for you, Sean. How disappointed are you in me right now that I'm recording this via Zoom on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm not disappointed at all. I mean, I just think execution is the game. Content value is more important than production value. Your audio sounds amazing.
Yeah,
You got some kind of a DSLR thing,
I
mirrorless
do.
over there with the shallow depth of field. So, I mean, I might surprise you, but I just think you're doing it right.
Sweet, dude. I appreciate it. We had so many people coming on the show that just like Zoom was just, it was funny, man, because pre-COVID, it was even hard to get people to be indoctrinated to using Zoom. Everyone used Skype. I'm like, Skype is so bad. Like, it's so unreliable. And then post-COVID, now everybody's like, they just get Zoom. Like, they're showing up with greats. Like, this the level of sophistication has gotten just tremendously better. However, when we do some of the other ones, the Zencasters, the Squadcasts, I think there's Riverside.fm. There's some other tools that are out there that are available. It was for a lot of people that don't do this for a living, that are business people, but just do guest spots occasionally, which is a really tough, tall order to get them to understand how this works. So anyway, so here we are. But when we first started, I was like, Sean is going to be so disappointed that I'm using Zoom. I can already sense he's going to be disappointed in me with
No,
that.
I mean, I think removing friction, that's a business like essential. Like if you can just
Yeah,
remove friction, and you're right, everyone uses Zoom, so
yeah,
why not pump the content out, get the
yeah,
scale out there, and take as much friction away as possible.
yeah. So most of my audience, they're already familiar with you. I posted it, you're coming on the show, and I sent an email, and people were really excited about it, right? However, for those that maybe have not been focused on YouTube and building it for business, kind of give us that elevator pitch of who you are, what you do.
Yeah, I mean, today I run a channel called Think Media that started as a personal brand channel, but has really become a media or a company brand. We have multiple content creators, and we primarily are a tech review channel to help people find the right tools for creators. We help people find cameras and lighting and audio equipment as well as software. And then we also help with the strategy side
Right.
of people winning on YouTube. I That came out of me building a six-figure income because I just had a video production company where I was reviewing tech and doing affiliate marketing. And today, over 2 million subscribers across our channels, wrote a book called YouTube Secrets, #1 best-selling YouTube strategy book in the world. And a lot of crazy stuff is happening. Our team is 13. It's doubling right now. We're hiring and multiple seven-figure company. But of course, I didn't start there. I'm really just a small-town kid, college dropout. My youth pastor in 2003 handed me a video camera and Adobe Premiere, not Creative Cloud, because there was no cloud. It was CS, Creative Suite on CDs, and said, hey, start making video announcements for the youth ministry. And so people may have heard of the 10,000 hour rule that Malcolm Gladwell popularized.
Right.
But I've probably done 30, 40,000 hours in video and things related to video. And so I really believe that not just video, but YouTube is the best social media platform, period. It's the
Yeah.
only platform where your content lives forever. It is like a fine wine. It gets better with age. It's digital real estate, and any investor knows the power of compound interest and, videos becoming more or dollars becoming more valuable over time as it compounds. And if you do YouTube right over the long haul, you can build up an asset of really endless scale growth, leads, sales, whatever your ambition is with YouTube.
Right.
And so that's really become our mission, is to help people learn how to crack that code and build their business with YouTube.
I love it. So you just put something out, and I think this is really relevant for the time that we're recording this, about can you still make it work in 2021? And so I think there's a lot of people, and this is this is where I love debunking people's logic and narrative when it comes around this stuff, Sean. But everybody jumps on Instagram, and nobody says, oh, Instagram is too saturated to get on Instagram, but they get on Instagram, and yet they don't jump on YouTube, despite the fact that on Instagram, literally your content's going to live for like 3.5 seconds. If you're like, I mean, I'm exaggerating, obviously, where YouTube is going to last forever. And more importantly, and I think this is something you and I talked about when I went through, you guys did like a boot camp stuff that we did with you, which is where we kind of got, made our acquaintances or whatever. But at this point, Sean, I'm like a year and a half into YouTube, and my channel's small still. Like I'm still like going through and learning from you. And it's funny, I always say this, but I have a couple of different mentors I work with, Ryan Levesque, I work with you, and I watch your guys' stuff, and I never feel, I'm like, there's always something I envy about how well you guys do what you do. Like, you do it so tremendously well. And I'm not just blowing smoke. But literally, man, I'll tell you this. Despite the fact that I will hit my first 1,000 subscribers by my birthday, which was my goal, got to hit 1,000 subscribers. Like that initial grind of like, it's so slow to like get over that first 1,000, I feel like. But I'm now driving. It is my number one source of traffic to my website, period. Even with only less than 1,000, almost like 900 subscribers. So here's my question for you then, kind of going back to my original thought about, can you still start in 2021? I kind of gave some data to validate that. What are you seeing as to why you can still do it, and kind of debunking that saturation narrative?
Yeah, I mean, when's the best time to plant a tree 10 years ago? When's the second best time to plant a tree today? It takes time to grow, and there was certainly less competition maybe in days gone by. But I think the key is understanding, and what we're going to talk about, like the YouTube algorithm, because there's a couple examples. Janelle Elena, she was a Gen Z van life solo traveler girl who travels with her pet snake. She studied YouTube for about 6 to 12 months, getting her game plan together. She revealed this in an interview. She had like the looks and the vibe and kind of a cool, unique look, but she also very much went around a buzz keyword trend: van life, solo female traveler, good headline. She shot her first video over about 4 days and edited it over the next 6 days on her phone.
Mm-hmm.
And she put out 2 videos and grew over 1 million subscribers. They were longer form, audience retention. They were fascinating. There was this mysterious girl. There was all these ideas of, was she a plant? Like what was she shouted out? But nevertheless, her first video was so compelling at 28 minutes. I think I watched every single minute. That's a lot of audience retention on YouTube, just because it was fascinating how she decorated her van. Who is this person? What's happening? And then, of course, once you hit momentum, there was buzz around it. So I'm talking from 0 to over 1 million subscribers in 2 videos.
This is insanity.
One of our students started March 2020. It's actually a music reaction channel. He reacts to different music. He's creating some different kind of content. And he's at 5 million views. All kinds of different. There's Donia Angelo, who has a video channel in Spanish, and I believe it's My Kitchen to Your Kitchen is what the Spanish name of the channel is in Spanish. And she cooks. Her daughter got her started, but she cooks in kind of like this village clay, like urn type of a situation, and she's got millions of subscribers, tens of millions of views a month.
Yeah.
And so I think that, Sally Hawks had said different is better than better.
Right.
I think that finding your unique angle. I also think that the long tail, as Seth Godin has talked so much about, it's like, well, those 2 examples are crazy unicorn examples, and even 5 million views. Like you said, it drives all this traffic to your website with very practical numbers that maybe people can relate to. So it's definitely not too late.
Right.
Just like anything, if you started YouTube in 2010, if you were just playing checkers, like, you had some strategy, but like, there's not a ton of moves in like the repertoire. It's like move, and then eventually you get like a queen, but like, or a king. In 2021, if you want to break out, you got to be playing chess. I think it's just you got a queen's gambit, on this thing, and know the moves, know the pieces, know your strategy, know your angle,
right,
understand the algorithm. And that's not to talk anybody out of it. Like, it is just about starting messy, punching fear in the face, getting 1% better with every upload. But with all the noise out there, that's why you want to be sharpening the saw, constantly. And then remembering and just keeping your eye on the vision that YouTube is so valuable on the other side of the momentum and of the traffic and of the influence, to know that it's a lot of work, just like anything. Like, if you're trying to get in shape, you start working out at first,
right,
and you feel worse. Like, you're more sore, you're all inflamed. You're like, I look like a red tomato now because of how my body's all like messed up. I sweat, I stink, and I feel like I'm bloated, actually. I'm not even, but what do you got to do? You got to keep going to the gym, keep doing the reps, and then hopefully increasing your form, getting coaching, having better form, better reps, and then not only that, doing adjacent things like your diet, like your sleep and your recovery. And when you do the things, then you start developing the world-class body. And so with YouTube, it's about making those tweaks and with those examples and tons in the long tail of stories. It's not too late to start. You can start from today and build a YouTube channel and grow a past channel. It's just this next decade on YouTube is going to be insane, and it's a wave to ride and definitely a wave to get in on for sure.
I love that. So I think you brought up a really good point that I wanted to highlight, and I wanted to contrast or compare it to the people that are in my audience because they're business owners. They're using YouTube to grow a business. So some of the examples you brought, like those, I wouldn't say they're entertainment examples, but I think one of the problems that we make and that I had to kind of reconcile with myself is not necessarily looking at views and subscribers as numbers, but as people, right? And so if you're running a business or using YouTube to promote your business, having 1,000 people that are subscribed to hear about your business, that changes the paradox, like your entire paradigm of 1,000 subscribers versus, like, imagine 1,000 people in a room hearing what you have to say. So that really helped me kind of reconcile that. And truth be told, you don't need that many numbers. Like I'm getting something over, I don't know, like 15,000 new or recurring views a month on my channel now. And I'm like, 15,000 people are hearing about my business. I sell products, right? And so if I'm building my email list from that, those are people on my... So my point is this. I think we get too enamored with the numbers, and I think we should focus that instead of numbers into people. Do you think that's a good strategy that a lot of businesses... Because I just don't think that teaching people about online marketing or things of that nature, like you may not get to the point where you have millions and millions of subscribers because that's not really what begets that on YouTube specifically. Would you agree, disagree, and then some of your commentary?
Completely agree. It's about clarity. It's about what is your end goal, what is your offer, what is your what is your business model, is it sustainable? Meaning too, because like you had mentioned in terms of entertainment, that's also an entirely different business model. You're going to try to get views and maybe brand deals. I mean, there's so many other examples. I think about Nick, Grayscale Gorilla. They friend of mine and one of our students, they do Cinema 4D tutorials, and then they have plugins for like Cinema 4D. And so it's software. They teach how to use the software, and then their products enhance the software, multiple 7-figure business. There's every business model is relevant. You just got to figure out how to adapt YouTube to it. But exactly right. If you're doing high ticket for something very specialized, you'd actually be foolish to try to attract large audiences that would not be your ideal customer. So your awareness of your ideal customer and then creating the right content to attract them is huge. On the same point, I do think that business owners could learn from certain strategies. A good example is Charisma on Command. That is...
I totally agree.
Yeah, Charisma on Command. Charlie, a friend of mine, breaks down like 5 lessons we can learn about humor from Ellen. Ellen's in the thumbnail. It's a 15-minute video, and it's very well researched, very well delivered with photos and clips from Ellen. And he has an online course, Charisma University or whatever it's called, and he's driving online sales, but he's doing what we call trend surfing and influence surfing and tapping into YouTube's really human behavior and trends. So you can play the search base, which is great. You could play kind of the niche topics, but when you start typing into real trending topics, trending influencers, understanding human psychology, and you're good at bridging that into two thoughts, into then polarizing some people in a positive way to your content, or not, and being willing to go really wide, because there is something about reaching 1 million people and then having 5% of them become customers.
Right.
And so, but to your point, like it's about knowing your strategy, knowing what it is you're trying to achieve, and potentially mentioning those examples. One of the things that I think has helped me be successful in business is being willing and even intentional about pulling from adjacent industries or industries that were not my industry and doing the overlap. Like my friend Shalene Johnson, she holds the Guinness Book of World Records for selling the most fitness DVDs. She's created Pio and Turbo Jam and Turbo Kick and like Shalene Extreme. And back in the day, all the kind of infomercial selling fitness programs were like really prim and proper. They would do like the exercise. But what she noticed that like America's Funniest Home Videos and some of these other things at the time had like these bloopers, more relaxed feel. So she was like, that's more my personality, but I'm going to bring that into my industry.
Got it.
And And it just was like the same thing, but it was with a different vibe. And it was like all of a sudden it was more fun. She was more relatable because it was not just the workout, but it was also this kind of behind the scenes vibe. And even recently she broke a record. Like Beachbody spent $1.25 million or something on an infomercial that bombed. She said, can I reshoot it using my iPhone? No joke. Crazy story. And she's like, I want to do it more raw. I want to talk to the girlfriend on the other side that wants to do these workouts. And it was the number one quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter best-selling infomercial, not just for a fitness product, but infomercial period. So anyways, she was pulling from adjacent industries. So when you pull, my point is when you can pull entertainment into business, or you can pull in trending topics and connect them to your products and programs, or to attract your ideal audience, or maybe a group of your audience that then kind of funnels down into your ideal audience, some real magic can happen on YouTube.
Yeah, I know that's something that you talked to me about last year, because I had this thing that I've had for a long time about not being in a box, right? Like talking about the same things over and over again. But I think there is something to be said about what you said about taking advantage of trending topics, right? So I think that's something other people struggle with as well. Like, when can you, here's my lane, like here's where I play, here's what people know me for. And thus I know when I release a video, people are going to come back because they want to know more about, like, your YouTube. Like, people know you to be the guy that helps people grow YouTube and for hardware and software advice and stuff like that. How much, if there is a percentage, so for example, I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry, Sean, I couldn't help myself. But I did a Justice League Snyder Cut review. I'm a huge comic book fan. And so I was like, I'm just too tempting. I have to do it. And that's one of the things I think where you said a trending topic that could attract, and who knows, there could be 20% of those people are also business owners. So do you have a barometer of gauging, like, here's how much we stay in our lane and focus on what it is that we do. Here's our buckets of things we talk about. And then here's how we kind of mix in some other things that maybe have wider appeal to a bigger audience. Do you have a barometer for how you would gauge that?
I think it's number 3. It's option number 3, and it's what Charisma on Command does. And it would be taking from Justice League and saying
how it makes sense for business.
Yeah, it'd be like 3 marketing lessons from Batman.
I got it.
And Wonder Woman. And then, you know, by the way, that's where things get really interesting, because we're all humans. Right. So other people that would geek out on, but by the way, I'm only halfway through. I kind of fell asleep on Sunday. It's a long movie. I'm like,
it is a long movie. You only enjoyed the second half. It's better than the first half.
And so I'm already enjoyed it. It's pretty cool. I don't know why it's in 4th. I mean, I know why it's in 4-3, I guess, whatever. But I'm like, come on, man.
I know.
You know, that's kind of how I do it. And
that makes total sense.
I think it's your own intuition. But I mean, whether it was, if I was to say, A, those who are subscribed to me, if I talk about YouTube, that's what they want to learn. That's why they subscribed. B, like, let's say our video podcast. If I was to say 3 weird marketing lessons I learned from Donald Trump.
Right.
It's a pretty good title. Like, if I don't know what the lessons are, but like that's a really good starting point.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to engage a lot of people in my audience, just for like, what the heck? Like, positive, negative. It's just going to get people to move, because it's just a known individual. And then the key is you don't want that to be a gimmick. You want it to be real insight. Right. So Charlie on Charisma on Command, he made a whole series like Game of Thrones. And it was about charisma. It was about like influence and like power dynamics and like politics. Because Game of Thrones was not only super trending, but like really deep truths can be mined out of that. I'd say for those listening, you know, you don't have to do this. Like, because there's a level of intuition. But what we are talking about is you should do what you're passionate about, whatever you geek out about.
Right.
And it might come naturally. Like, if you're already talking about or consuming comic books, or you love, you know, whatever niche thing, those are some of the things that my friend Pat Flynn wrote a book called Superfans. He does a business daily live stream. He did it called the Income Stream. Never missed a day. He went live for 365 days on YouTube.
It's crazy.
So many things happen because of that. But he had Back in the Future references all the time, because that's his big thing. And now he's doing Pokemon cards and all kinds of things. And he's a real deal smart, you know, founder of Smart Passive Income. So like, it's finding your own vibe, but we often say your vibe will attract your tribe. So I think it even actually makes things stronger. Like, and if that's not your thing, like, I'm really into books. If you tie into like reacting to a book, or reviewing a book, or doing a whiteboard of a book, or dropping down the biggest principles of a book, or getting the author of a book onto your channel, people could It's never good if it's a gimmick because you go, I hate doing this, but it'll work. Vice versa,
Mm.
I just freaking buy books all day long. Like I obsess over authors, obsess over strategy and leadership. So if it stays fun for me, you want to stay in your lane as much as possible. And if you can stack your passion layered over your proficiency, layered over how you're making profit, and tie it all together to the original core promise of your channel, there is no question that education channels are powerful, like you said, business owners. And the recent letter from the CEO of YouTube that came out for 2021 revealed that education is growing like crazy on YouTube.
Really?
That the video with titles "How to" in the beginning exploded during the pandemic and hasn't slowed down, and that people are beginning to see that YouTube is a place to go learn things. So the fact that it's growing tells us that if we go pure education, we have a lot of opportunity. But there's no doubt about it that edutainment
Yes.
is a superior content form. This is just true in life in general. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Right.
Some of the best truths are learned in story. Some of the Patrick Lencioni's best books are fables. So if you can tie in illustrations or culture or trends, not in a gimmicky way, but in a true way of learning, you actually potentially could become the most watched business channel, because that's what people are. People love Justice League. They love Avengers. And if they also want to learn business and want to learn accounting, want to learn personal finance. And if you do things in a fun or a cool way or a story woven way. And I think about Valuetainment, great channel, right, Patrick David?
That's literally who I've been thinking about. I'm so glad you said it.
And I mean, and he talks about, he's really smart because he's constantly reading news headlines. He reacts to Bitcoin. He reacts to all the top airlines not being worth as much at Zoom when they crashed and Zoom was blowing up during the pandemic. So he's even jumping more on like news trends in his industry, but then always talking about it and framing him into business. And then he also ties things into other deals. But he's a reader, a studier of markets and trends, a studier of economics, and no doubt about it, he's a savage dude. Like but it's coming out of what you can tell he's obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's up reading the news all morning, anyways,
Right.
and it's a natural overflow. And so, if you're listening to this, you may want to add on some of these competencies, and if they're within reach, maybe reach and grab them. But I don't even suggest as much that this is something you should manufacture. It's actually something you should cultivate out of kind of self-awareness and what your passions are. And who would have thought that maybe the sci-fi business channel, like that's actually a great idea. Like it's just coming to me, but like it would be on the other side of execution. Right. And someone who's like, dude, yeah, I'm a Star Wars head, I'm a Trekkie, whatever, and I just love business and learning business principles, and this channel does it in such a cool way. Like, if you could pull that off, that's a magical cocktail for YouTube.
I love that. I guys, go back and listen to that over again. I think that is such a cool thing that you could actually incorporate, and I'm going to write that down myself. I think that is really, really tremendous advice. You mentioned something about the next 10 years is going to be, I don't know if you said the best 10 years or a really good decade for YouTube. Now, I know there was a recent algorithm change and things have gotten a little bit different. I know you guys have adjusted accordingly. First of all, let's talk about what actually happened with this algorithm change.
So just to really hit on why this next decade, a couple things. 2.3 billion monthly active users on YouTube. That's logged in with the Gmail account. The pandemic doubled adult social media usage, and there's been more adoption. Like I saw my mom, she didn't used to watch my Instagram stories. Now she watches my Instagram stories every day, but then texts me and she's like, it went away. I don't know why I can't see. I'm like, Mom, you could go back. But what did that tell me? My mom, who's approaching 70, is on Instagram stories now. The ages on YouTube, there's major baby boomers on YouTube, all ages. Everything is growing. There's more consumption. It's going to be an incredible decade on YouTube.
That's great.
And Mr. Beast recently said that too. Someone said, what are you going to do next? He's like, do next. This is all I'm doing for the next decade.
That's awesome.
The audience is going to continue to grow. And the algorithm continues to feed good content to hungry people. There is an endless appetite for good content, period. So that means that there's just a ton of opportunity for new content, fresh content. And also people just want recent content. We like new the best. I would rather watch, think about some of your favorite authors, right? They come out with like the 10th anniversary edition, the 25th anniversary. They say new and updated. It's not new and updated. Like it's the same book. But when it's a marketing word, the best word to use in marketing is new. Think about toothpaste. Guess what this new toothpaste, it's the exact same ingredients for the last 36 years. Now with extra brightening and white, dude, it's the same toothpaste. But it's a new package. They use the word new. It's the new such and such and such, whatever. So people have an endless appetite for good content. So how do you break through? What's happening with the algorithm? Well, it was actually a while back that it flipped, but the biggest things that are happening with the algorithm, I think, is let's explain a couple high-level ideas that I would say, like, what's different that I teach now? We're even updating the book, YouTube Secrets. It'll be a second edition. There's a few things that are different. Subscribers matter a lot less than ever before. They don't matter at all. Here's why. If anybody's ever started watching content on YouTube, videos start following you around. If you express interest in tiny homes, intent, and you watch a couple tiny home videos, number one, if you watch like 2 videos from one creator, now that creator's all over your homepage and their best videos from their library is all over your homepage. Whether you subscribe or not, the algorithm's going to recommend that video to them. Furthermore, as soon as, we say this on YouTube, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. As soon as you start searching for tiny home and you start spending more time on it, what does your whole homepage and suggested feed look like? Tiny home everything.
Right.
And all kinds of creators that are creating great tiny home content or their videos are breaking out are going to be suggested to you over time, and YouTube's going to continue to feed that content to you. That's a key point in understanding the algorithm, because consumption is more important than subscribers. Meaning, because you could have dead subscribers.
Right.
It's kind of morbid, but we were actually thinking, like, with 1.6 million subscribers on Think Media over like 10 years, there's probably a couple of dead subscribers. Like, we were literally just like, it's kind of weird. I was like, that's sad. I'm like, there's maybe, anyways, you know, but inactive accounts. Okay. Or their behaviors are changed, or they once subscribed when they were into something and they're not as into something. Subscribers still matter, sure. But also in the case of Janelle Elena, pure consumption, pure algorithmic recommendation, and pure viewer behavior today is what matters for YouTube much more than subscribers. The next thing when it comes to the algorithm is just understanding how YouTube works. And this can unlock a ton of insights, and you just reverse engineer your content strategy to this. YouTube, 75% of views come from YouTube recommendations. So I'm a big search guy. Search is amazing. Search is the practical way to start. But getting suggested by YouTube is the game if you want big growth. That means YouTube is putting your video on the YouTube homepage. You're showing up at the end of the video on the up next. It's like, this is what video is coming up next. Suggested is below on mobile. There's other video recommendations, or to the right on desktop. The videos are showing up over there. And then if you show up in those places and YouTube it's an impression when people have an option to click on that video, your channel can scale to the moon. Videos can go viral because of the suggested algorithm. There's 4 things that influence whether a video is going to basically blow up. And it's CTR, AVD, APV, and AVPV. So anyways, enjoy those tips and we'll talk later. Like, people are like, what the heck? So here's what they are. Number 1, click-through rate, CTR. Yeah. So it all starts with click-through rate. The way you influence that is title, thumbnail, and topic. People underestimate topic. If you want to blow up, you need to be talking about the right topic at the right time with the right title and the right thumbnail. And that goes back to, again, if someone just goes like, I want to click on that topic, like 3 weird YouTube growth tips that I learned from Donald Trump, I'm mad. I'm pumped. That's a topical choice. It's a content choice. Right. So, and that title was good too. And then the thumbnail, if you can picture it, is good. I'm not even in the thumbnail. I put a picture of Donald Trump in the thumbnail. Cool. So, okay. So then I got the click. Well, and the next thing is I go, haha, this video is about what I ate for lunch today. Well, obviously it's not going to do very well because I'm not going to deliver. Yeah. And so now I have to hook the viewer. The second one, AVD, average view duration. Right. So this is also why you actually don't want someone to click on your video. You don't want to trick anybody, because if you get them there and they didn't really want to be there, then they're just going to leave, and that's going to kill the video. So if the title makes a promise, They get in the video and the content is good and it has a nice cadence. And you don't just hook them at the beginning, you perpetually hook the viewer. You have to kind of keep reselling them on watching the video. Because if it gets boring, we'll check out. You do it, I do it. Even if it's like great creators. I'm like, cool, that's 2 minutes of my attention. I'm in the suggested looking for something else
which
to
is
watch.
something you guys do really well. I want to get into that later on. Don't let me forget. That's something you guys like have really mastered, I think.
I appreciate that. So, okay, so average view duration. Now, if you can get your click-through rate, this is like, don't even quote me because it matters your channel, matters your niche. But if you, like, it could be higher percentages, lower percentages, so much factors. But if you could get your click-through rate over 10%, if you could get your average view duration over 8 minutes. Now, I've seen from longer form content, it's a 2-hour live stream, the average view duration is like 12 minutes though. That's actually a good thing because on YouTube, the platform, it's about 4. The average view duration of a video is about 4 minutes. So the fact that I've kept a viewer on there for 12 minutes, top, time on platform, so YouTube can sell ads. If I could keep people on the platform, YouTube's like, this is a good video. I mean, it's not a large percentage of the video viewed, but this video holds the average viewer's attention for 12 minutes.
No, that's insane.
Okay? That's the next one. Then it's average percentage viewed, APV. So if you could actually hold a viewer's attention for 15 minutes out of a 20-minute video, average percentage viewed, 75%. Right. 2-hour video, 12 minutes, it's only like 10%. It's just another factor. So if you can get a viewer to click, keep them as many minutes as possible, and I've noticed that actually 8, 10, 12, we could talk about short form content too, but there's a magical number if you could get it over 8, 9, or 10 minutes viewed. Because YouTube just wants people time on platform. The disclaimer for shorter content is you hope to get people into a binge, or you use a shorter video to get them end card to go to a longer video. And the first one's kind of like a first date. The second one's like, let's actually like take a weekend trip together. And so average percentage viewed, if you could keep that high. And then the last one, it's average video per viewer, AVPV. Now, at the end of your video, do they binge a couple videos on your channel? So someone gets into tiny homes and they're like, well, that was so cool. And I learned about how to build one or how to shop for one. And then at the end, whether it's a end card and it's even that linear, or whether they only watch 5 minutes of your 15-minute video, but they click on one of your own suggested videos because they're like, ooh, this topic looks even more interesting. And now they're watching 2, 3, 4, 5 videos on your channel. If we reverse this whole thing, this is the magic cocktail for YouTube overall.
Wow.
Because, and if we add cold traffic, because if that only works, high click-through rate, good average view duration or whatever to the people that know you, or if that only works to a very limited hyper niche topic, which is great too.
Yep.
But it's the marketing term, TAM, total addressable market. If YouTube keeps showing this to new people, and the click-through rate stays high, and the average view duration stays high, people keep watching it, people that are strangers probably are watching it, and the average percentage viewed stays high, and they even watch more videos, then YouTube is going to forever show that video endlessly until an audience is exhausted. And so easier said than done. Clearly, that's the name of the game on YouTube, is the execution of that, is using how you edit or structure your content, how you communicate in your videos, understanding just general marketing and even psychology, or creating open loops, or just being brief, being bright, being fun, and being done. Just being like, I promise to show you how to make the best smoothie for bulking on muscle. Here we go. And you trim the fluff and you get to the point. It doesn't matter if it was shot on a baked potato. Like, if the content value is good and the title made a promise, and people are like, that's super valuable. I wasn't looking for like a remarkable lighting camera. I was looking for just learning something. Like if you're like, how to install a WordPress plugin for the new Yoast SEO thing that works, and like, oh wow, you really showed me how to do it. Well, then everybody that's in the WordPress world keeps wanting to watch that tutorial, and it gets expanded out to more audiences. And so, that's really how the algorithm works. And then it starts being shown on people's homepages, as we discussed, whether people subscribe or not, and your videos can just reach to literally thousands, millions of views.
Yeah.
And right now, Think Media gets 250,000 views every 2 days. Wow. And for us, search is a big thing. That's another conversation kind of, but it's it's 40% of our traffic is search, 18% is suggested videos. I'm just looking at this right now. And 16% is browse features. And browse features is important because that's usually homepage, massive.
Got it.
Because most people make their decision on their homepage. They log in and YouTube just starts showing themselves. And they're like, and here's what's happening. This is trusting YouTube. YouTube finds viewers. You need to give YouTube good content. You actually, when starting, you need to give YouTube good metadata. You need to give it a good title. There's this thing called Google Cloud, and I forget what it's specifically called. You can upload your thumbnail, and it'll tell you if the face is happy or sad. It can see if there's vegetable, like plant life in your thumbnails. So Google's get it. You need to give YouTube information that's like, oh, this is a tiny home video, and then they'll show it to audiences because the algorithm. They just want to keep people on the platform. They want viewer satisfaction. They want people that are hungry for business knowledge, hungry for marketing tips, people that like are ravenous to learn and level up. They want to get good content in front of them. So if you can understand your audience, if you can craft videos for that particular type of viewer, and then you just keep serving those up, it's also then you add time to the equation and you could build a snowball of momentum on YouTube.
Holy wow, dude. There was so much stuff. That was so good. And I have like literally 10 trillion questions. The challenge is to narrow it down to the ones that I want to ask you. So the first one is, you mentioned the browse. I feel like everybody's trying to vie for search. And you just talked about browsing and how significant and important that is. What are some of the things you can do? This is a conversation we've had internally. So again, I'm kind of leaning into my own curiosity here. What are some things as general practices that you guys do to take advantage of browsing? Because I think that's something that a lot of people are maybe underestimating.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we said. It's topic, title, and thumbnail because it starts with that click-through rate. And
but it's not like specific tags where like I'm going to make a video and then I'm going to use one of my tags, Sean Cannell, so that it shows up as one of recommended videos for one of your videos is what I was getting at.
To the degree, what you want to do is you want to upload videos for your subscribers, but you also basically, you do want to construct an avatar.
Right.
Number one, we did a YouTube strategy workshop at the beginning of this year with 10 strategies. The first strategy maybe isn't even a strategy, it's a statement, but it's the creator who understands the viewer best wins. So that's, by the way, when you understand the viewer, that means you understand what topics you should be creating.
Right.
You understand even who they'd, maybe click on or who they'd be interested in, what should be in the thumbnail.
Right.
What you should be covering. But then further is sometimes we can become myopic in that we develop a fan base or a core audience of 1,000 true fans, and we want to keep serving them. But like, what is the wider mindset that they would like, but also that expanded audiences would like?
Got it.
And then part of it is just best practices. Like, literally, you do enough good videos, you think one's going to blow up, you do best, it's not as much as this other one, and another one blows up. So it's always just tweaking. But I also want to encourage that it doesn't negate that search-based content can't find its way into suggested and browse as well.
Got it.
So it simply means that we may end up on like the homepage. It could be a very tutorial-based video that just ends up on the homepage of YouTube, and so it could be very much search-based. Right. But because it has a good click-through rate, average view duration, average percentage viewed, and YouTube just continues to realize that they can serve and suggest this video. And here's a couple other algorithmic tips. Number one, you never want to upload a video your subscribers didn't subscribe for. And here's why. 1,000 subscribers. They subscribe for a particular type of video. Now, this is also back to why subscribers are a vulnerability. You want to talk about something, but that's not what they subscribed for. And what happens first is YouTube shows your video to your subscribers, either on the homepage, maybe not, and in the subscription feed. Well, here's the problem. They didn't subscribe for that. So what does that mean? They're not going to click on it. Doesn't matter if you're Leonardo freaking da Vinci on your thumbnail, and it doesn't matter. They don't want the topic. So they don't care if the title, you're the greatest copy. Like Ogilvy would literally be like, oh my gosh, dude, I've never seen such good marketing writing. That's the greatest headline I've ever seen. So Leonardo da Vinci and Ogilvy, David Ogilvy, rise from their graves to just praise your thumbnail and your title. But your subscribers are like, yeah, but I don't want to watch that. Therefore, they don't click on it. They skip over it. So YouTube goes, huh, for some reason, people that are like these people don't want to watch this. We're going to kill this video reaching anybody else. We're not going to show it to anybody else and the video dies.
Ooh.
That's why subscribers could be a vulnerability. Now, if everything was to play out as I just described, it is possible that YouTube will still test it with some strangers. And if it's as good as I suggested, it might find its way out to the algorithm. But the principle remains the same, that you want to upload videos that your subscribers subscribe for. So your subscribers are that initial launch of it. Because now the 1,000 true fans that you have, as you are clear on your niche and you're clear on who you serve, it's a no-miss video for them. They all want to click on it. They all want to watch it. And then YouTube is studying them. So YouTube is studying your subscribers, and it's saying, okay, well, if this type of person with this behavior clicked on this video and spent time on it, I'm going to show it to other people like this. And then they show it to those people, and they like it too. So YouTube's like, well, let's keep it going, and let's test it with this audience. It didn't work with this audience? Cool, we'll kill that. Let's try it over here. Yeah. Like with adjacencies, and I don't claim to understand the algorithm, but that's how it's working. The algorithm's crunching all that data, showing videos to people, and to the degree that they keep consuming and they keep clicking on things. And so good content. Yeah. I mean, good, like well edited and topics that are relevant, that can reach wide and that really get to the point and deliver value. And again, like even length is kind of subjective. Some people, if you understand the viewer that uses YouTube Premium and listens to longer conversations, I got some examples for you. You know, there's a pulling between short form and long term right now. Shorts, YouTube Shorts is out, so clearly short form is a thing.
Right.
When someone's just meeting you, I think you should do short form content,
right,
because it's like a quick date before longer form. But my friend Lewis House is he's uploading compilations that are sometimes longer than 3 hours long on his channel.
That's unreal.
And they're like compilations of interviews he's done, but it'll be around one promise. 10 truths about building real wealth. And then he's got Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey. And understanding his viewer, which is into personal development, self-development, they're listening to that. They're probably listening to it while working out, while commuting, while going on a walk. And he's getting crazy amounts. I think he told me at one point the average view duration on his channel was like 45 minutes. I've never even heard of something like that.
That's insane.
But like, you tell that to, again, an entertainment Gen Z focused audience with short attention span. Well, you don't understand. It's mixing audiences.
Right.
So really getting aligned on your target audience, what the value prop is, what they're into.
Got it.
There's no limit on length if that viewer wants to consume that longer form content.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Now let me ask you something real quick, because I think this is maybe a situation where people just had an uh-oh moment. So you mentioned something that about debt, not actually literally debt, although we did talk about dead subscribers, but you've got a bunch of people that subscribes that are now inactive, and YouTube's showing them the video first, the new videos you put out. That means their CTR is going to go down, because if those people didn't subscribe for the content you're not putting out. So here's the deal. Let's say you're in that situation where you've created, not that I'm by any means at all referring to myself, but you may have put some stuff out, because when we're starting out, you're trying to figure out like what content's going to work, right? So you're putting out a lot of stuff. You're kind of, I don't want to say you're throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks, but you're getting a little bit creative with stuff you're putting out. Let's say you're in that situation where you created stuff that maybe isn't in alignment with completely what it is that's in your topic of discussion typically, right? So you have some subscribers that aren't interested. You're kind of fighting an uphill battle, as I see it at that point. Would you agree with that? And then what can you kind of do to maybe overcome some early subscribers or videos that took off that aren't in line with your topic, continue to grow subscribers that maybe aren't going to watch other videos you put out?
Yeah, I'd say number one, if you're under 10,000 subscribers, it probably doesn't matter if you're under. And number two, it's how radical the pivot is.
Okay.
I think what channels have realized, and channels can pivot, but if they've realized like they were uploading piano tutorials and they made it to 35,000 subscribers, and now they're like, you know what, I'm going to upload marketing advice. Like that is a uphill battle, because of if it's a similar, it's how closely aligned are the two things.
Got it.
And then here's the big test for some of your early videos are hurting you now. You go to your real-time views, or you just go to your monthly analytics, and you look to see, this happens to channels all the time. They're going a new direction, but their top video is family tour of Disney World's whatever, because they went to Disney World 4 years ago, and that video just popped off. And actually that video brings 40 new subscribers a month, 400 new subscribers a month. And now they're doing a cooking channel, and they're constantly kind of tearing down with one hand what they're building up with the other, because the intent of that channel wants to see more vlog or more tutorials of theme parks.
Right.
Or, that's the intent. That's why you never want to upload a video the subscribers didn't subscribe for. So the question is, where are your subscribers coming from?
Mm-hmm.
What did your subscribers subscribe for? And then lastly, it's an intuition thing. Think Media is an interesting case study. And this kind of goes back to, you got to know the game you're playing. And Think Media has got 1.6 million subscribers. But the problem is, there's a lot of things that we do that do not make us the ideal YouTube channel, as I'm describing. And we still do very well. And what I mean is, okay, what's the best camera for YouTube? Maybe all you want to know about is cameras, but we talk about a lot more than cameras.
True.
So you're annoyed by, I don't want to know tips on YouTube. I'm going to figure that on my own.
Or
I don't want to know about the Rode Podcaster. So it's almost like if it was just a camera channel or cameras and lenses, but even that's a problem, because eventually once you buy a camera, you probably don't want to hear about the new cameras. And our M50 series has done incredibly well, but those people aren't going to click on the tutorial of how to use the Sony a6600.
Yeah, you're right.
So even in our niche, we're kind of a variety channel, and our videos are not relevant to our widest subscriber base. But you got to know the game you're playing. So it's not only just inactive subscribers. I think the goal is that you want to be on brand.
Got it.
But realize that not everybody has to click on every video, and that's okay. Plus, I'm playing the long-term game of search. I learned this. I was reading the book, The Psychology of Money, and there's a chapter on know the game you're playing, and it says investors make a mistake when they want low risk and just good insurance for when they retire later. But then they start following day traders. Day traders not necessarily wrong, but it's an entirely different game than low risk. And then they're following somebody doing crypto, and then they start following Dave Ramsey, and they're confused because everybody's playing a different game. He's like, you just got to know the game you're playing. So on YouTube, we understand that we actually haven't cultivated a basis of subscribers that want to watch everything we upload, and we don't view through a filter of a lens of like, is this relevant to all the subscribers? Are we trying to get as many views as possible? For us, we're playing this long tail game that's much more in the trenches of, okay, I even know that this will probably get a bad CTR. It will. YouTube analytics tells you it's like it underperforms, but I'm like, yeah, but this thing's going to rise like a phoenix. And then the problem is someone subscribes for that video as well. So we do have, even within our niche, kind of a mixed bag. But when I also say know the game you're playing, it's know the business model. We know that we're doing 40K 30 to 40K a month in Amazon affiliate profit, and thousands of leads that lead to other things, and brands pay us tens of thousands of dollars. So, I mean, I just know the game I'm playing. That's all. And I know that some topics are, eventually you do it long enough, and I know this will blow up because everyone on the channel will probably click on this. It's relevant to everybody. If I review the Zoom H4n belt clip pack, dude, most people don't even care. But I'm also one of 3 people that review that. And so long tail, people that are looking for that product are like, oh, cool, that looks good. I'm going to pick it up. They click the link. That's also an income producer. It adds value through affiliate marketing. So you got to know the game you're playing. And this fear of killing your channel or your channel being dead would only be, again, if you get like a ton of subscribers on gardening tutorials, and now you want to start teaching business tips.
Got it.
And it's just so dang different. You should start a new channel.
Got it. Okay. Really, really good qualification. I appreciate that. Something you did, and I just want to call it to attention because I'm kind of going through everything you said and kind of unraveling what that was, because I think it was really profound. But you talked about title, thumb, and topic. One thing I watched you personally do in the boot camp we did that I just wanted people to kind of have an idea of the way you continuing to understand the way you approach YouTube, because I think it's very strategic, and I think a lot of people just kind of put stuff out and see what happens. Watch you go through the process of searching for a topic of video that we could potentially create, and I forget who it was we're using as an example, but I watched how you assessed the year that it was produced, right? The amount of views, the amount of subscribers on that channel, the thumbnail, and also what their title was, and kind of reverse engineering how you could stand out and where the areas of opportunity would lie with with the video you were going to potentially create. So it's like you didn't just put something out and guess. You literally went to see what was already existing on YouTube, and then how do I make something that would stand out in relation to what already exists, which I think was a really fascinating, like watching you do that was really fascinating to go through that process. Just wanted to highlight that for people that didn't have that opportunity to see you do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a step one in any strategic endeavor is assess the situation. So it's funny that we would think, okay, I know what video I'm going to make this week. I have a cooking channel. I'm going to make a video on how to cook a steak in an oven that's marinated in garlic. Okay, cool. And so let me just go create my video. Do no recon first.
Right.
And be foolish in any strategic endeavor. So you just go do recon, and it could do a couple if, art of war, if you determine that the enemy's forces so greatly outnumbered your own, you might go, maybe we shouldn't go that way. Maybe we should flank.
Right.
Maybe we should wait. Maybe we should change our approach. Maybe we should realize, dude, everyone's talking about the garlic marinated steak, but no one's even made a video on the Cajun recipe, and I have Cajun spice that I could use. So I would go and look, and again, sometimes the ranked video takes a long time to get to the point, but it's like the only one that is there. So I think, okay, I watch it. I could deliver the value quicker. vidIQ gives you this tool that just lets you upload a thumbnail and then it superimposes it where it would rank.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
I like that feature.
If every thumbnail is blue, then yellow might pop in contrast. That kind of idea.
We did one recently. I did a review of Viome. It kind of gives you, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it gives you like your gut health numbers. So we did one of me literally sitting on a toilet, just showing my lower legs and like a poop emoji pillow sitting there. And I looked at it, I'd use that same thing, and I'm like, this is money, because it just stands out compared to, everyone else is just holding their box or has the logo there, and it's like, no, this is going to pop because it's literally so intriguing compared to the other ones up there, and that video's doing well.
And you could reverse engineer that probably just by intuition, but even more so when you kind of place it in there, you go, okay. So, and that's marketing. That's how do I stand out? Like, why did I repaint the outside of my coffee shop? Or why did I, I'm trying to get attention with a billboard. Like, it's kind of the same idea. That's what a thumbnail is.
Right.
So that would be assessing the competition. And then even video length, long form might rank because if it can hold attention, but I know you might be the same way. If I want some information on a topic, I might not believe, I'm like, I don't think 4 minutes would be long enough. But then I see like the 36-minute option. I'm like, okay, I don't have that much time. I see the 13-minute option. I might be actually clicking on the video based on video length.
That's true. That's a good point.
So it gives me a target because I'm like, I don't want 36 minutes. 4 I don't trust. 13 is probably what it is. Only to find out that I need to end up watching the 36 one because, whatever. But again, it's a snap judgment.
Right.
Thumbnail, video length, and then even age. Not just because YouTube does value recency of content, but even age in terms of the viewer. We want the newest info. One of the huge tactics for anybody that does probably similar things to what we do is everyone always wants the newest, like in social media, in online marketing. 2021 is the thing. It's what tips are working in 2021. It's what's the newest update to the 2021 software. It's what are the new, so there's always an opportunity for getting fresh content that's out there that's current, and not just reinforcing that, maybe putting that actual year in the thumbnail or even that year in the title, because that can give you an edge when a topic has a lot of competition.
Right.
The recency of you getting something out and really emphasizing that this is fresh info. I think about real estate. People jump on this all the time, and it's funny because it's not just one channel that could do well at this. Literally hundreds, if not thousands, of channel. The coming 2021 housing crisis.
Oh, sure.
It's crazy how big those videos get. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But not only that, I watch Rich Dad's guy, I forget his name, Ken, I believe, and I even want to know, because we just bought a second house that we're going to be Airbnb-ing, and it's near family up in Seattle, and we, of course, during that, I wanted a week by week. I wanted August market crash update or whatever, April, March, and so even in regards to that, are all unique data that you can get. Okay, what's happening within the ranking? Do I take the approach of really going? Because then again, you go that specific, that video becomes very irrelevant a week or a month later, or 2 months later. Fine, but that's short term and long term strategies. It's not a bad idea because short term growth might lead to new subscribers and new discovery. And I've got long term topics as well. And this intelligent YouTube strategist would do both because yes, I might not get long runway out of it, but I'm going to get that short term hit off of everybody that's into that topic this week. And those subscribers could carry with me into the future.
Yeah, makes total sense. Cool. All right, so I got 2 more quick questions for you, and then we got to let you run. So the first is, let's talk about salvaging, right? So you mentioned you put out a video and it just flops, right? It just doesn't do well. I know you also talk about something that maybe is a little bit unique from what other people maybe talk about or teach or preach, and that's continuing to reboost your videos that are performing well, whether you're re-optimizing those. So on both ends of the spectrum then, if a video comes out and it just flops, is there any ability at all to change anything about it, change thumb, change tags, change title to get that thing kind of up and rolling again? And then videos that are doing well, how do you continue to optimize those so they continue to do well and keep ranking highly?
So the first thing is it's a little bit intuition, and it really comes, something that I do quite often, is once you have a good subscriber base, not to be contradictory, just subscribers don't matter, but nevertheless, once you do, your videos come out with a certain level of velocity, as you can imagine on Think Media.
Of course, right.
I've got, well, and not only that, you just don't be afraid of YouTube analytics. YouTube analytics, what gets measured gets improved, and you want to make data-driven decisions. And once you upload enough videos, they give you this gray range of how your videos typically perform.
You're right.
So even right when your video comes out, you're getting like somewhat real-time feedback, and you're getting a lot of feedback initially, and then you're getting more feedback after 3 days. So as soon as a video comes out, there's the data side and the intuition side. If it's underperforming, I'd probably ask myself 3 questions. I'd say, is this topic deserve more performance than this? And I'm like, no, I knew this was going to be super niche. Let's just let it be out there and let it do its thing.
Right.
Okay, cool. No adjustment needed. And this topic, this should be doing better. Question 2, should this be doing better? If it is, what can I pivot, if anything? Can I pivot the title or thumbnail? And I'll change the title and thumbnail. This is also an old thing. Like years ago, the best practice algorithmically was don't change your title. It'll re-index your video.
That's what I would think, yeah.
I'll change my title. It's not something you want to do all the time, but I'll change it whenever I feel the need, because it's click-through rate and average view duration, and that's the game. That's how YouTube works now. That's where the recommended engine is triggered. So I might pivot the thumbnail or pivot the title. And then I guess the third thing, which is kind of hard to discern because we've noticed on our channel, even videos, so there's this like gray range of how your videos typically perform. We've seen videos that are like flowing beneath that for 20 days, 40 days, 60 days, and boom, they'll pop. It's hard to say why. Maybe we got to the video before it really hit a trend. Maybe it just took that long for YouTube to kind of cycle it around, but eventually it found a niche audience that, people that are really into audio or whatever, like, are now starting to be into that. Somebody else talked about it that's big, and they're big, but like you're the only other person that talked about it. So now you're recommended alongside of them in just comparison to that, and you're catching some of their suggested traffic. That's why I love YouTube, because the more quality videos you put out that are optimized well, you just have more chances for those miracles to happen at day 45, day 82. So that's the challenge, and you kind of roll the dice here, is you don't know if that's going to happen or not. So you don't necessarily want to mess with anything. But maybe another thing Lewis Howes does, we would love to do this, but we're pretty maxed out, and it would be a graphic designer meets a strategist, but he uses TubeBuddy, which has a split testing thumbnail feature.
That's cool.
And they'll take old videos that are doing well and then throw a split test. Key. This is actually key. They're not dead. They're doing well. And then he'll split test on the traffic they're already getting, either one new thumbnail or even 2 new thumbnails to see if it changes things.
Wow.
And he's seen whole old videos be revived, and there's a lot of old videos with traffic. You split test one thing at a time. You might try a title phase, give it 7 days. And And at some point I question in a positive way, well, you need some margin to do that. He's got a full-time person that's working, for him, that's thinking strategy, and they meet together. So it's kind of a resource thing, and I believe the future is forward on YouTube. So I focus most on my next video. But that is some kind of high-level way to think about your old library. And then the final thing would be a video that, especially if it's an older library video that content is good, but you never uploaded a thumbnail, or the thumbnail is just kind of like weak or not fresh, there could be, it's like the 80-20 rule. At the most 20% of your library, I'd argue it's probably 10% or even 5% of your library that you might want to go back, make it a better title, make it a better thumbnail, and then if possible, post it on your community tab, which gets unlocked, I think, at 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Post it, send it an email to your list, like send a greatest hits email to your list and be like, here's some of the questions we get asked the most, but now you've updated the title and thumbnail. You've given it a fresh coat of paint. Maybe even like the metadata only carries so much weight, but it still is a signal. Make sure it's closed captioned by like rev.com with like pro closed captions. And then make sure that the description, by the way, is updated to your most recent lead magnet or whatever. And then kind of relaunch those videos and be like, hey y'all, here's like some of the greatest hits. And maybe a bunch of people click on one of those because like it really resonates with them. Therefore, giving it some average view duration. And then YouTube goes, all right, let me show this to a few people. And that fresh title and that fresh thumbnail kind of revive it.
Rocking and rolling again.
You're probably going to need, it could happen on its own, but it's hard to steer a parked car, or you can't steer a parked car.
Right.
So that's kind of why Lewis is split testing thumbnails, is because he's doing it on videos that are moving and trying to get them to, oh shoot, it's going down, let's go back. Right. Or, oh wow, this is even better, it's getting even more, and optimizing things forward. And yeah, macro, a lot of what we're saying here is it's a lot of work, and I think you'd have a law of diminishing returns of worrying too much about yesterday. Sure. If you keep making your next video your best video, getting 1% better with every upload, and just uploading so consistently, it's like, this maybe is no surprise, and it's not said as like a flex. We have a whole team, but it is said that not only are our videos good, but we're at 5 days a week now.
Yeah, you are.
And we've been so dang, it's like, I have freaked out about how dope YouTube was over the years. You can't even imagine the energy I like buzzing with now. I'm like, not only is this 5 day a week thing murdering right now.
Really?
I'm like, people don't even actually realize the, Zack Snyder cut Justice League. I don't even know what the main guy is called from the universe that, with the cool metal armor. But yeah, like, what do they also say? We've destroyed hundreds of thousands of universes or whatever. I'm like, dude, we're like coming with some Thanos. I know I just switched movies. Level of earth shattering, just because. But the key is, I'm like, they're all optimized. They're all smart.
Yeah. And
so the serendipity, the point I'm trying to get to is the more at-bats you could put out there, the more videos you could put out there into the algorithm that are good, that are relevant, is that I have videos hitting at day 28, videos hitting at day 42. And then I've got videos cross-promoting each other, right? Because, and it's happening, on the one hand, incredibly strategically and intentionally, with intentional cross-promotion and end cards and things that are linking together. But there's also just the serendipity side, because the YouTube algorithm is recommending things beyond what I can do with end cards and cards.
Right.
Because I'm just putting out that massive volume.
Exactly.
I think the takeaway is, if you're listening to this, that's like, okay, bro, but like, what do I do? It's like, well, you just get started one video at a time. Sure. And as a business owner and a business leader, you do your best today, but you think about how you can scale this thing, eventually hire an editor, hire a videographer, think about how you can maybe repurpose your content. An interesting character I'd point you to is named Ruslan. He's a Christian channel. He does like faith-based commentary on a lot of events that are relevant to like his audience. What's crazy, listen to this, 88 uploads a month. And the way he does that is he goes live for like 2 hours at a time. He uses the YouTube video editor to clip points, and he actually knows what the headlines are ahead of time. So he'll turn a live into like 5 or 6. In fact, if you type in Ruslan space Sean Cannell, you can watch how he did it. You'll see my main interview, and then he'll see that he made 8 rather quick because he uses YouTube Editor. So what you can do is you go into YouTube Editor, you clip the point, you jump cut through it, and you can instantly turn that into another upload. You didn't download it, you didn't edit it, and he's even outsourced it to his patrons to do, and paid someone to do it for him. But the point being is that sometimes his videos get 1,000 views, 1,300 views, and sometimes they get 250,000. And he's making $10K a month in AdSense off of going live a couple times and then chopping the clips up.
That's great.
And it's a lot less polished, although it's great, but it's a lot less polished than a Think Media video, but it proves the same point.
Yeah.
YouTube is that magical that if you can find out how to put, again, it's relevant. His audience wants that.
Sure.
So you got to figure that out for your own niche, your own audience. And even at what he's jumping on is he taps into trends, but it's a good case study because that might sound completely crazy to have 88 uploads, but then you go, oh, well, if one interview with Sean Cannell turned into 7, that's 7 uploads.
Yeah.
Because there's 6 other clips from it. And 5 do terrible. 1 does okay. 1 does really well. Or none of them do well. And his next interview kind of goes viral with one of the clips because it's a hot moment where he talks about the certain thing.
Yeah.
And so, if you can, you can pump out a lot of volumes. You've seen it. Like you said, you've got passive traffic now leading to your website, 15,000 views, a month from the library you've built up. And you could probably say, man, even if all I did was duplicate what I did, so up until this point, that's 30,000 views a month. If I could then double that again, that'd be 60,000 views a month. And if I could double that again, it's 120,000 views a month. That's life-changing in and of itself, especially with such a niche audience. And so you might go, that's kind of tiring to think about putting all that work. But the asset creator on the other side, leads, traffic, awareness, and then the month off with your family where that traffic is still coming in and your business is still growing, that's the magic of YouTube.
Yeah. Something that I think it's overlooked when it comes to YouTube, and you mentioned, is the analytics component, because I've learned more about my audience in the last year and a half doing YouTube than I did in anything else that I've done previously, including 5 years now of the podcast, which my podcast does way more downloads than I get views on YouTube, but you just don't have that data with podcasting that you get with YouTube. So I've learned so much. I feel like that's a huge opportunity that a lot of people miss out on. I just want to highlight as far as you said. And I've got one last question. I know we got to let you go. We've absolutely run over our time here, but I wanted to get to it because I mentioned it earlier, talking about hooks, right? How do you keep people engaged on your videos? Like I mentioned, I think you guys is really where you shine. I think you guys do a tremendous job. And in the many ways that you guys shine, I think one of the things you do tremendously well, and we actually, true story, I just went back and I analyzed a video of yours to provide to my editor to be like, see how they did this? See how they did this? This is how they keep you engaged with the video. What are some of the thought processes that you're going through to keep people re-engaged with a video? I've noticed the editing is huge. You guys do a lot in post where it's like dings and arrows and cutaways and B-roll and all this stuff that it's really engaging when you're watching it visually. But then also linguistically, I notice you guys do a lot of things as well. So could you kind of peel back? And that's a huge, really loaded question, but are there some general practices that people can follow as to keeping people really keeping with their content?
Yeah, I love it. It's one of the best questions, or one of the most important skill sets to master with YouTube. A book recommendation, Hook Point by Brendan Kane. Really good dude. And the book's amazing. I think it's one of the must-read in addition to YouTube secrets. But it's literally the book of the year, I think, for YouTube, because hooks is the game. And hook starts with title and thumbnail. So it actually starts with big idea and concept and topic, right? And then it goes into the video. And then, exactly as you said, it's not just opening, but it's the perpetually kind of reselling the viewer on continuing to watch. Just as a very nerdy thing, under analytics and under the engagement tab, there's actually a new analytic called Key Moments for Audience Retention. And here's what it tells you. On your last 10 uploads, it says still watching at 30 seconds, which is a very powerful insight, because it actually, YouTube, the analytics YouTube's telling you is them basically telling you the 5 love languages if you want to actually understand how to keep your spouse happy. If you're getting them gifts but they want words of affirmation, it's not filling their love tank. YouTube and analytics is saying, hey, these are our love languages. You need to actually do these things to keep us happy. So not only that, it's if you can hold the big question, what are you doing in the first 30 seconds? What are you doing in the first 30 seconds? One is one of my favorite ones, the value-based hook. The video starts out. The first thing you want to do if you want to get better lighting is make sure that you use a curtain to soften the light. Here's exactly how you do it. So it's not even, are you curious how to get better lighting? Do you want to learn the 5 secrets?
Right.
It's actually the value. It
Got
is
it.
not an introduction, not even like, this is what I'm about to tell you. It's, I'm already telling you.
Yeah.
And if you think about the conversation, the title and the thumbnail should have already started the conversation. So you're already into it. So it's like, get into
It's
it
like
faster.
redundancy at that point. I agree.
It could be redundancy, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, this is what you just read in the title.
I'm gonna say it
and
again.
There's like five. Yeah. So getting straight into it. And then of course, just like classic marketing, like open loops, psychology. The interesting thing that we have developed a skill set at is our content creators. They're amazing, Nolan and Omar, and to your point, they're doing the editing. Kyle's doing the editing, and it's a lot of that stuff. On the flip side, I do these live streams, and they're real time.
Yeah.
And the live stream replay stays up, and those are some of our best performing videos, and I'll go for 45 minutes. And it's all on me to deliver right from the beginning. So some of the things I do is I know a couple things. I don't need to rush. I don't need to like draw out my words, but I'm trying to sell you on watching a 45-minute video. We're going to take some time up front to really frame this thing. So I might say, whatever the exact promise is, are you curious about how to get more views on your YouTube videos? And I'll do a couple things. I might tie in some value right up front. I use slides, so that's a visual. So it is kind of like video editing in real time, and I'm still on the screen, picture in picture or whatever. And I will maybe hit the opportunity. And I'll say, if you haven't seen recent stats, and I'll tie into an article, and I'm showing that. And I'll sometimes go really rapid fire. Additionally, I'll write out 4 bullet points, just kind of like you would try to get someone to opt into a landing page. There'd be a headline, and there'd be 4 things they're going to learn. If I got a 45-minute training, I'd say, at the get-go, I'm not going to introduce myself for a while.
Right.
And I also might deliver point 1 before I introduce myself, that we keep doing the value-based hook. So it's like, what are the best ways to get views on YouTube? New data has reviewed that there's more people on YouTube than ever before, but the algorithm is changing. So in this video, I'm actually going to be breaking down my 3 favorite strategies for getting views on YouTube. And then it's like a lot of, if you study copywriting, like that the pros won't tell you, I'm going to share 3 tips that you've never heard before. And of course, staying in integrity, like if you've probably never, I don't know if they've ever heard it before, like that are, fresh or new tips that I've been testing out this year. I'm going to break down a case study of one of our students that quickly grew to 10,000 subscribers. I'm going to talk about the number 1 mistake you're probably making that you don't even realize that hurts you getting views. And I'm going to be showing you 3 title templates that you can plug and play. So buckle your seatbelt, because there's going to be a lot of value in this video. But here's number 1. Then I might deliver number 1, and then I might go, but hey, if we're just meeting, my name's Sean Cannell, and this is our Think Marketing channel. So sometimes I'll go a lot of like powerful front structure, deliver the first point. Then if you're still there, like you might bail, but like now I'm going to introduce. So it's moving any kind of like house cleaning stuff deeper into the video.
That feels like a mini webinar, the way you're structuring that. It really does.
It is a mini webinar. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the way you're continuing to like tease, like stick around. This is why. Here's what we're gonna talk about, this and that, and then waiting to tell who you like. That feels like a mini webinar. Is that kind of? It sounds like that's how you kind of approach it.
Yeah, I do like mini webinar live streams that are kind of like a proprietary process. I don't even want to know. I don't know if I've frameworked it yet, really, but you could. I'm always carving, and and they do crazy well. And again, story driven, but trying to. And then the cool thing about analytics is Kobe, may he rest in power, was known for, even after he won a game, he would go back and ravenously study the game tape.
Yeah, he's crazy. I know.
Right? And so he wanted to study how he can improve, what he could learn, even if he won.
Yeah.
So even if like the video's popping off, it's like, wow, it did great. People loved it. Good comments. I don't know if enough people study their game tape. And here's, I get the conversation. It's like, Sean, you do this for a living, and true, but I also am running a team, probably just like many people.
Exactly.
I've got taxes and accountants and, things to do. And so, but yes, it is what we do, and it should be our art form. But like, if we want to get all this traffic and all these views and all this business growth, you got to be willing to just commit to the process of becoming world class at this. And that obsession that Kobe had, I will go back and I'll learn it. I'll be like, wow, kind of like David Chappelle will test his comedy special in lots of small comedy clubs.
Right.
I'm not afraid to repeat topics. I'll test them in a quick live stream off the cuff.
That's cool.
I have 2 channels now, so then it doesn't make it to the main channel unless it's if it hasn't worked in the small comedy club, like just different things of working my craft. But what I'll learn is that maybe there's parts I need to cut. Maybe I went too long in the story. In a webinar, done a lot of webinars, I've like, okay, I want my story to be powerful, but it needs to be like 4 minutes. And sometimes I get caught up in it and it's 16. Yeah. 16 is a little long. 5 is fine. 4 is ideal. Yeah. 16 is too long. And sometimes you don't even realize unless you go watch the game tape.
Right.
And think about which sections work. And so, all of this is viewable on either Think Media or our channel Think Marketing. Yeah. But if you catch one of my longer live streams, you can see the intentionality. And there's 2 ways. Of course, I've grown as a communicator. It's a skill set I've developed. I've been working on it for years. Whatever. The huge key, I work off, like you said, webinar. I work off a deck.
Right.
I have not
for every
only
YouTube
the slide,
video, you work off a deck.
For a YouTube video, I work off a deck.
That's a good clarification.
Because it just keeps me... there's no way I could be that good to deliver... The slide is reinforcing and I have 2 monitors. So I not only have the slide I'm on, but I do have my notes. And there'll be times when I will read... Like when I'm reading those 4 bullet points, each one is well written. And again, I don't really want to read and not look at the lens, but it's kind of a whole thing. And I don't know, sometimes... Like I might read them or like because I've written them out, I'm still going to deliver them better on camera. Or I usually don't do this, but I can hide behind the slide if necessary. If there's a certain moment where I just want to get the information accurate and right. So by using that, it really gives you kind of an advantage. And I guess my audience has become used to this and they realize how value packed these trainings are, so that kind of builds a brand and a reputation. But I think that what ends up happening as well is it's just the title makes a promise and then it's good. Yeah. I mean, that's the goal is that usually when you put energy into a webinar, it should be good. It's like try before you buy. Like, did you love this? Like I got this other stuff too. So it's as much as you can, the power of that as we kind of land the plane, for example, is I did a video called like how you get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I think is the title. I'm actually like looking it up here. And this video, how to get your first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's 44 minutes and 1 second. Thumbnail's great. This video has 1.1 million views. It's a 44-minute viewed video. It has earned 20 grand in ad revenue. And the average view duration is 8 minutes and 53 seconds. As we discussed, you get over 8 minutes. That gets interesting. Mm-hmm. The average percentage viewed is only 20%, but that's still pretty amazing. And you can actually track percentage. Like in the last week, it's gotten 500,000 impressions. That's YouTube pushing it out. Mm-hmm. YouTube suggested videos is 65% of the traffic on this video. So YouTube knows that like people want this. They put it in front of somebody. Somebody clicks on it, and it holds their attention for at least 8 minutes. Which is double the average on the platform.
Which is crazy.
And again, that was delivered basically as like a free webinar that's just public on YouTube. So
wow, I love it, Sean. Man, you're a wealth of knowledge. Man, you're an encyclopedia on this stuff. But I have disrespected your time enough. We went way over. I do sincerely apologize, but I want to give you the opportunity to let people know where can they learn more about what you're up to. Obviously, if YouTube, growing the YouTube channel is what they inspired to do. Clearly, you have demonstrated you are the guy to listen to. Where can people go to learn more about you, connect with you on social, follow you on YouTube? Go ahead and give all those call to actions.
Absolutely. Well, no, I appreciate. Thanks so much for having me on, and it's always fun to hang out, Chris. But Sean Cannell rhymes with YouTube channel, and I'm at all the socials. So whatever your favorite one is, that's SeanCannell. Sean Cannell rhymes with YouTube channel. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. And then Think Media is the channel for sure. The word Think Space Media. You type that in the search bar on YouTube, and that's going to lead you down a rabbit hole of different content. In fact, you may not know what question you want to ask, but if you were to type in Think Media space camera or Think Media space lighting or Think Media space live streaming. By this point, we're creating like a free online university that's around a lot of those topics. And our big goal this day is just to keep it current. We not only have the past stuff, but we like it's the latest stuff, the newest stuff. Think Media YouTube tips and Think Media, just a wealth of resource that would love to help you. Won't be hard to find. Eventually, you could find we've got courses or the book YouTube Secrets, but just start on Think Media and start building. And I do want to encourage you. I think there's a lot of good information on this, but it might have been kind of overwhelming. Listen, small town kid, college dropout, started making videos in my bedroom and they were terrible. Started shooting videos for my church before I was making videos in my bedroom, and both of those were bad. And I just committed to get 1% better with every upload and continuing to skill up and learn. And hear me, the next decade on YouTube is going to be amazing. And so the best time to plant and start a YouTube channel was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. And you don't want your future self to regret 3 years from now, man, I should have started back when I listened to that podcast with Chris. And so start. You can start messy. You don't even have to upload a video a week. Whenever you can, get it out there, figure it out, hire somebody, just, keep following Chris, figure it, it's just so worth it. And your future self will thank you for the seeds that you plant today on YouTube, because it's gonna be a crazy decade, y'all, and it'll help you get the results you want in your business and in your life and in your brand.
I love it. Sean, you the man. I love and appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for jumping by the show. And I know my audience just absolutely ate up every bit of this. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.